Words are magic. Not the kind of magic that hides behind rituals or smoke, but the kind that happens every single time you open your mouth. Every word you speak carries a frequency. It can build worlds or burn them down. You ever notice how the words you speak to yourself set the tone for your entire day? Maybe it's the quiet inner critic that says, I can't do this, or that self-talk that whispers, I always mess this up. What if I told you that the words you speak, not just to others but to yourself, are shaping the very reality you're living in? Today, we're diving into the first agreement from Don Miguel Ruiz, The Four Agreements. Be impeccable with your word. The word can liberate or enslave. It can heal or harm. It's the sword and the spell. In this episode, Diana and I are breaking down what it really means to be impeccable with your word through the lens of energy, neuroscience, and self-compassion. We'll talk about the frequency of language, how words hold vibration, how tone communicates safety or threat, how self-talk literally reprograms the nervous system. And we'll explore what happens when you become intentional about the energy behind your language, when you shift from inner critic to inner ally, from control to compassion, from spellcasting fear to speaking truth. So, if you've ever wondered why words matter, this one's for you. Let's get into the power, the science, and the soul of the word.
This is Realigned and Unfiltered.
Together, we're peeling back the layers, exploring consciousness, and transforming life's messiness into meaning.
Hola, everybody. Hey, Carlie. How's it going?
Hey, Dee. Good to see you. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the show. We're so grateful to those of you who are tuning in. This has been so much fun. What an adventure.
It is. It has been. And to those who are tuning in, make sure you subscribe, get notified every time we release a new episode. We love knowing who is listening and connecting with you all.
So thank you so much for everybody joining us for the little series we're doing on the Four Agreements. What an awesome book. We wanted to start today by reading a little quote from the first page of the first chapter where Don Miguel Ruiz actually introduces the first agreement himself. So I'll read that now for us. The first agreement is the most important one, and also the most difficult one to honor. It is so important that with just this first agreement, you will be able to transcend to the level of existence I call heaven on earth. The first agreement is to be impeccable with your word, which sounds simple, but it's actually very, very powerful. And so we thought today we could go a lot of directions with the power of your word
Mm,
and impeccability of the word. We could talk about gossip. We could talk about how we show up online. We could talk about all kinds of things. But of course, as ever, this podcast is all about the inner and the personal journey. And so
right.
today we really want to dive into what does being impeccable with your word mean when it comes to how you speak towards
Mhm.
yourself
Yes,
and towards others.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Right. It's even in the title of what NLP is, linguistic,
Yeah.
right? Language. From an NLP perspective, every word that you speak, and even the words that we're silently thinking and saying to ourselves, they
Mhm.
become the instruction to our subconscious mind. And
That's right.
that will shape our perception of the world around us, the reality that we're seeing, and
Mhm.
also how others experience you within the reality as well, within the collective experience.
Yes, it's that. And the language that is spoken to us, right? In the book,
Right.
Don Miguel talks a lot about how what is spoken to us in childhood, what is spoken to us
Mhm.
as we develop in the dream, as he calls it. We are given a book of law. We're given a book of being by those who speak into our lives as we're just beginning the coding system, and then
Right.
we get into the speaking ourselves. So
Right.
yeah, what's
Yeah.
spoken to us and then what we speak. But we're focusing more on what we speak today. But I just wanted
Mhm.
to kind of also bring in, yeah, he does talk about how we're spoken to and
Yeah.
what we were told. You're good at this, you're bad at this, you're that,
Yep.
you're da da. Well, that forms us, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So like the map of the world that we see and what we have outlined for us and how we experience our life is built from the words so that we say to ourselves, the words that we have been given to us in our programming and as we're growing up. Um and the meanings that we've internalized because of those words. Right? So like when you say something like I can't, or I'm always messing things up, or this is just who I am.
Oof.
Though
Yeah.
I've heard that a lot, but it's like those phrases, they're the code. They act like a code and they loop those neural patterns that instruct your brain to look for the proof of that in our reality. And
Yeah.
that goes back to Hebb's law. Again,
Always.
always the repeated words are going to keep wiring those neurons together, and that repeated wiring becomes who we are as our identity.
Uh-huh.
So, our language literally is shaping those neural pathways.
Yes.
So
Yes,
it's
it is.
important just to like remember, every phrase that we repeat to ourselves, especially that self-talk, they're the ones that are going to be strengthening those circuits. And also in NLP, we also teach that meaning isn't only actually in words, right? It's also in the submodalities. Like, so those qualities of the experiences that we have, such as the sensory details, the rhythm, the imagery of the visuals that come up when we're speaking about certain things or thinking about certain things, those are the submodalities. And when we're able to shift the way we're looking at things, so the frequency, the energy that we're carrying, the internal representation of what we're saying as reality, we're able to shift that internal representation. And so then when we're able to speak impeccably, right? When we're impeccable with the word, and we're able to also feel energetically the frequency that
Mhm.
is aligned with those words. Now we're coding and storing this experience in a synchronized manner.
There's a really great quote I have here that I feel like fits into this moment. I think it's really important to hear what he says, how he describes the force of our word, especially when you're talking about the frequency of our word. So this is another quote from early on in the first chapter. The word is a force. It is the power you have to express and communicate, to think, and thereby to create the events of your life. You can speak. What other animal on the planet can speak? The word is the most powerful tool you have as a human. It is the tool of magic. So, of course, this
Mm,
piqued my interest here. But like a sword with two edges, your word can create the most beautiful dream, or your word can destroy everything around you. One edge is the misuse of the word, which creates a living hell. Miguel talks a lot about how the dream that we live in is like a living hell. If
mm,
we are so unconscious and just so
mhm.
accepting of all of the stuff that's being said and given and all of the disempowerment that we feel in the experience of this lifetime. So it was really interesting to me when he said the living hell that we can create with our
Yeah,
own word. Oh my gosh. The
I
other
know.
edge is the impeccability of the word, which will only create beauty, love, and heaven on earth.
Mm, mm,
So it's really interesting because we always hear about heaven after earth and hell after earth. We have this earth
you're right.
experience and then we go to a different place. But what if it's
Yeah.
possible that if this
Mhm.
whole thing is the dream, like we've talked about, we can be living in hell and a hell of our own making, or be living in heaven a heaven of our own making? Like, wow, wow.
It's deep.
Depending on how it is used, the word can set you free or it can enslave you even more than you know.
Mm,
All the magic you possess is based on your word. Your word is pure magic, and
oof.
misuse of your word is black magic. Every human is a magician, and we can either put a spell on someone with our word or we can release someone from a spell.
Oh my goodness. I mean, if you I know exactly. If you haven't heard that before and really put into context, what does spell mean?
Yeah, what does spell mean and what is we have a lot of I think we even talked about this last week. There's in a lot of the early creation stories. It was,
Yeah.
in the beginning the
What
word.
is the word?
God spoke into existence this whole thing. We
Right.
speak into existence life or death. I really liked the part where it said you can either put a spell on someone with your word or release someone from a spell. And that just made me think this is so true because I have so many clients who come to me who say all their lives they were disempowered. All their lives they were treated like they were garbage. They were told they were garbage. Then they began to believe they were garbage and now they live in a life that feels like garbage. This is a real example. And I just think like, okay, so then we work together. And of course, I use encouraging language, but the thing that I do most is I help people to figure out what are the words that you're listening to? What's the
Yeah.
internal words you're listening to? And can you shift those? And you have the power to shift those. You have the power to free yourself from the spell that you've been put under by others.
Mhm.
Or I have the power to free. You come to me and you just, I feel awful today. So and so said something to me, and I can speak the opposite to you. I can say, Diana, you are amazing. Look at all
Yeah.
these things that you know. Look at all these things that you do. You're amazing. You're such a great blah, 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 blah. And my words then counterbalance those other spell words from someone else,
Mhm.
right? This makes me think of those experiments that they do with plants. So you were talking
Ah,
about how you talk to your plants or how you
mhm.
you consider your plants. Do you want to talk about your plants?
I I have a lot of plants in my home. In my living room, my mom, she has a green thumb. I grew up listening to my mom talk to her plants. Like it's so cute. But she comes to my house and she's putting plants all over and I love it. And I haven't had the same passion and love for them as she has. So when
Yeah.
she comes, they're like, oh, vibrant and beautiful and look great. And then she's gone. I'm like, oh crap, a whole week has gone by. I haven't given them water. And so I walk by my plants and I could feel like, especially this one I have like on my stairs, I've neglected it. And I'm like, oh, I feel it. I walk by, I'm like, oh, it's talking. Like, I could feel
You
like
can feel
it's
its
talking like,
energy.
yeah, like, "Give me water," like, I want it like, I feel this energetic kind of pull to where I'm like, "I'm so sorry." When I go and I give it water, I'm like, "Here you go," and I feel, like, I'm responding to what it's wanting from me, like, I could feel that energetic and, pull from it, but also, like, I speak to it, and the next thing you know, with the water and the language I'm giving it, it's thriving, it feels my love, and, it shifts the way it's looking, and I could see it more vibrant, which is really cool.
It is cool, and I feel like there will always be kind of those people who are like, "Okay, well, it's because you gave it water, not because you talked to it."
Yeah, yeah.
But there are actual studies about
Mhm.
plants
Right.
being spoken to, being given love, being given attention, and it shows that the actual growth of the plant is better, the strength of the plant is better. And okay, so you say your mom is the green thumb. My mom also, big gardener, loves to garden. My
Mm,
brothers both got it from her. One is a horticulturist and he literally
okay.
works with trees. Like that's his thing. He's a tree guy. And he bought this big property and he said every day he walks around his property and he talks to his trees. He goes out and has his coffee and he talks to his trees. He really loves his trees. He really loves his yard. And his yard is gorgeous and his trees are so full of life. And he told me that and I was like, "Huh, that's funny." He's like, "No, seriously, Carlie, there are studies that show when you talk to your trees or to your plants,
Mhm.
they respond and they live better." So then my other brother, he's actually like low key famous for being a dahlia flower farmer. His
Okay.
name is the Dahlia Mandrew. Check him out on Instagram or YouTube. He is such a blast. And his flowers are literally 12 inches wide.
Whoa.
He grows these
Wow.
massive flowers. They're absolutely gorgeous. They pop out of the ground like crazy. And he, every single morning, goes out and touches them. He talks to them. He plays music
Mm,
for them. He loves his plants so much,
yeah.
and they love him. And you can tell,
Mhm.
like, you can feel the energy from these things.
And, another study that I actually read upon because I was talking to my son about it was when there was a study where there was this person who would take care of the plant and he would have a camera where he would film the plant and if it would lean towards him or or lean away from him. And
Okay.
so he spoke to this plant kindly, and the plant would lean more towards his direction. And then when he would come to the plant, he came very angry at it. It started cutting off like its stems very aggressively. This is very interesting. But there again, there's studies on it. The plant would literally like inch away, like
Wow.
when they felt him coming based on his energy. The same thing. I mean, we've heard of Dr. Emoto, Dr. Emoto's water experiment, how he has spoken to, he'll have different water jugs, and he'll speak love to water. He'll ignore another water and speak hateful words. And the crystals that form when they're frozen, it's amazing. Again, if you haven't seen Dr. Emoto, I will link his video here too. It
Yeah.
is fascinating to think about because the ones that he spoke love to, they're beautiful, like, snowflaked crystals, unique in how they look, beautiful. The
Mhm.
one that he ignored was kinda like splat, nothing really, there was no kind of
Splat.
design, just like splat. And then the hateful words, it was, like, chaotic. There was no sacred geometry, there was nothing. It was like a chaotic kind of image. So this
Wow.
also relates to understanding that our bodies are what, like 80% water
Yeah.
and how they feel emotion. Imagine if the language we're speaking to ourselves and to
Yeah.
others
Mhm.
is
Mhm.
hateful and stuff. What is that doing to to us inside?
It's so
You
true,
know?
you're so right, like, this experiment with the water, when they're spoken love, there's sacred geometry in the crystal, and then
Yeah.
when they're speaking hate, it's chaos, and that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's this thing that I'm gonna sound like a broken record, right? When we
Yeah.
speak compassion to ourselves, when
Hmm.
we speak kindness to ourselves, our nervous system calms down, and we feel better, we live better, our life becomes healthier. When we're critical, when we're mean, or when we're receiving criticism and meanness from others, yeah, how do we not get
Hmm.
that chaosy energy? And if we're speaking nothing, if we're just ignoring ourselves and letting other people ignore us, I guess we would be like a splat.
Yeah, like just like, yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah,
you
you're
could
so
feel it.
right.
You could feel energetically, like, I mean, I'm sure everyone here has encountered a person when they walk into the room, they're like, "That person is just vibrating." I love how their energy is so good, the way they're speaking, you're attracted to that person, you wanna be
Yeah.
around that person.
Yeah.
And it comes down to, it's not only the language they're speaking, but it's the frequency they're carrying with the language,
That's right.
the emotion that's coming through with the language that they're saying. And I want to bring in here, Carlie, this is something I think that most people miss when it comes to affirmations,
Oh,
and
yeah.
why it matters about like how you feel when you say your affirmations, which affirmations are, again, are those identity statements of like, I am this, like, I am love, I am happy.
Yeah.
You could say all the right words that you want to say, but if the emotion underneath those words carry resistance, disbelief, or any type of fear, your body is wiring that emotion to that affirmation, to the words that you're saying.
True. Like, if you're saying to yourself, "I am love," but you're like, "No, I'm not," then you're kind of just like,
Yeah.
"Alright, I am love." Like, your body's not receiving the frequency of the word that you're trying to communicate.
And so I think like that magic happens when the language and the emotion, they're congruent with each other, right? The Where the nervous system's like, okay, yeah, yeah, I do feel this. I'm
Yeah.
safe enough. I'm safe enough to believe the words that we're speaking.
'Cause I always worry about that a little bit with this whole manifestation, affirmation kind of world that we live in right now, and
Yeah.
because I think, like, what about the part of me that doesn't believe that's true? Am I gaslighting that part? So,
Mhm,
that's
mhm.
a tricky thing for me because some days I'm like, I'm not feeling it today." I
Yeah,
feel like saying affirmations for me today is going to be fruitless. Or
yeah.
I'll work with clients and we'll develop some affirmations, some mantra, something for them to say, and they say, "But I don't really believe that's true." And so it's this tricky balance between when you say it every day, you start creating the ability to believe that it's true. And what about the part of you that doesn't? Like, how do we tend to that part still?
Right. And I think that's what, when it comes down to realizing, ooh, first, I shouldn't say it if I'm feeling like this. Don't say it. You're just going to be feeling the opposite of what you're trying to affirm. So
Yeah.
don't say it, break the pattern, do something else, and realize, ooh, okay, I'm not in the mode to be saying these affirmations. And this is where, like, oh, I'm identifying that I am having some resistance here with saying this. This
Yeah.
is where that inner work is critical. You have to do the what you talk about all the time, the parts work, parts integration, and
Yeah.
realizing what is the internal conflict I'm having here
Yeah.
for me to actually feel that I could feel and believe what I'm saying.
From a practical perspective, what you're saying there makes me think this because some people can be like, well, how can I do that? This is a great thing that I talk about with my clients too. So we're working on inner kindness, we're working on compassion, we're working on recognizing what's the inner critic saying versus what can the inner ally say. And
Mhm.
sometimes using that mindful self-compassion recipe really quickly can help, especially when you take yourself out of being the whole conversation, right? So
Yeah.
instead of the inner critic being like, you don't believe that, that's not true, you shouldn't bother, the inner ally could kind of whisper to you like, a part of you is having a hard time with this.
Mhm.
Right? So then without judgment, in my mindful moment, I can say, ooh, part of me is having a
Mhm.
hard time with this affirmation.
Right.
Part of me. And then
Right.
immediately that takes it from, it's not, I don't believe this. It's not,
Mhm.
I can't do this. It's part of me's having a hard time. So you take that little part out and you go like, I get that you're having a hard time. Sometimes it is hard to believe that I am whatever because of
Mm.
all of the things that I've heard for all of this time. But
Mhm.
we're working on this and we're working on this together. Oh, suddenly
Okay.
you're kindly acknowledging a part, asking it to sit here just outside of you. And
Mhm.
then you say, may I believe I am love.
Right. And also it's like once you've identified, that little part, we could go, okay, maybe I can't say I'm happy because I don't feel happy. But how about you recalling a moment in your life where you did feel happy at some point in your life? It could have been just like you getting your favorite chocolate and it made you feel happy. Like
Mm.
recalling that experience and bringing that into your awareness and then bringing the feeling in through that way.
And also remembering that like we are not our emotions ever.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
if we can allow that emotion is a thing that's like a cloud passing by, right? So like just because I don't feel happy right now doesn't mean that
Mhm.
I am not the energy of happiness, right?
Right. Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's maybe not always safe to pick a feeling or an emotion word. It might be better to pick something a little bit more foundational, right? So
Hmm.
I don't know, just a
Yeah.
thought on the concept of like I don't feel
Yeah.
happy, therefore
It's
I'm not. That's not
mm-hmm.
that's not necessarily correct. But this
Right.
is so interesting because it's all just the impeccability of the word, right?
Yeah.
'Cause
It's the beginning of everything, I feel like.
yeah,
You
what
right.
does it mean to be impeccable with my word? Okay, if I am working on this first agreement and I am going to be impeccable with my word, then when I speak unkindly to myself or when I speak in a way that is disempowering, I can kind of catch myself and go, "Ooh, was that impeccable?" All right, if that's not, then instead of, "Oh, you idiot, you screwed up," because that's what inner critic loves to say, inner ally goes, that wasn't impeccable. Why don't we try that
Yeah.
again? Why don't we just try it again?"
Uh, and you could feel it. I mean, I'm sure everybody who's listening at some point in your life, you've told a lie.
Oh,
Even if it's a little white lie, you've told a lie,
yeah.
right? And I know, like, when I was younger, I would lie and I'd be like, "Oh," I mean, even if it was just because I wanted a piece of candy, whatever, I'd be like, feel the internal conflict that arises or like,
Energetically,
I
we
don't
call that a contraction. We contract.
yeah, we contract, right.
When we say a lie, when we say something that isn't true, when we speak something that isn't kind, when we hear something that isn't kind, we contract. There's a contracting
Yeah.
energy. Whereas when something is truthful, good, kind, impeccable, shall we say, we expand. So
Right.
energetically speaking, we contract or we expand based
Mhm.
on what we're coming out of our mouth or what's coming into our ears.
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's good to think even relating it right, um, to the subconscious. So every word that we speak, every thought that we internally verbalize acts also like a command to the subconscious mind. That
Mhm.
part of the part of the mind that runs 95% of our life.
Mhm.
And the subconscious also takes everything literally. So when we say things like, I'm so stupid or I'll never get this right, our nervous system will register that chemistry, and is going to reinforce the neural pathways of failure that are, the association to shame or whatever it
Yeah.
is that we're referring. Subconscious is going to quietly code that as data. But if you say something as like, I'm learning, and you reframe that like, okay, let the ally codes, then like, oh, okay, now I could code expansion, I'm feeling
Right.
safe.
Right.
And it was is able um to work that way.
A great real world example or real time example to
Yeah.
that. So, I have frequently and almost always said, I suck at technology. I'm
Mm.
bad at technology. I suck at technology. Technology's not my thing,
Yeah.
right? I'm known for saying that. All my clients will be laughing right now because,
Yeah.
technology. And through a lot of what I've learned with you and like taking my own advice, I've realized that believing that I suck at technology is the thing that's holding me back from being able to learn
uh,
and grow. And our world is technology, and I live on a
Ugh.
tiny island. I need technology to grow my reach, right? So
Mhm.
I have started a real process of learning technology, learning how to edit, learning how to do things. I'm learning how to create programs. I'm learning. I'm learning. And
Yeah.
I have frequently started saying, I feel like a little baby who's learning how to walk. I'll
Mm.
stand up and take a step and do a thing and be like, and then I fall over again. But then I'm now allowing myself to be in that midpoint position. I'm
Yeah.
no longer saying I suck at technology, I'm bad at technology. I'm no longer saying that. But I'm
Mhm.
not saying I'm good at technology now.
Right.
I'm
Right.
allowing myself to say
Learning.
I am I am a little baby learning how to walk. I am learning. I am in the learning stage. And so every time I fall down or get excited and then forget what I learned, it's kind of funny. It's kind of cute. It's kind of like,
Your
"Oh,
nervous
oh,
system feels good, right? Like, oh, okay, I'm learning. It's not like, crap, I suck. And you're eased into the
yeah,
feeling and the words that you're speaking. Yeah.
very much so, very much so." And like at 40 years old, I feel very behind from the technology perspective, and so I've let that hold me back. And so
Yeah.
now I'm like, "Okay, well, I have lots to learn.
Right.
Let's go."
Right. Yeah, yeah. And it just, also like the RAS, the reticular activating system is, which is our brain's filter, it's also looking for relevance to what we're focusing on and what we're believing, right? It starts
Right.
seeking out the experiences that validate our truth. Like again, what we believe, what we're saying, what we're choosing to focus on.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
when we start to begin to speak impeccably,
Mhm.
using words that align with our truth, but with compassion, right?
Right.
We start to activate a different neural pattern, and start forming the new map of reality that we want to experience.
Right. And we've talked about too how compassion allows the nervous system to calm down. And when we're
Mhm.
when we're critical, we contract. So when we're
Yeah.
compassionate, we expand. And when we expand, our body can calm. And when our body calms, our mind calms. Actually, when we're contracting, our vagus nerve, which we've talked about in other episodes, contracts, it pulls back and it starts dumping cortisol and adrenaline into our
Mm,
bodies. So we get the stress hormones flowing down our body going like run,
yeah.
fight, all those things. But if we're offering compassion, if we're offering impeccable words that are compassionate, that are kind, then we actually get a nice release of oxytocin and
Yeah.
serotonin, and those are our
Right.
rewards, those are our pleasures. So we're
Mm.
getting we're getting a sense of pleasure in the body. So even if I don't do a really great job with the editing, what I'm noticing now is this is just, my example. What I'm noticing now is like, oh, but I did pretty good. And then the next time I go to do it, I'm like, I remember last time how I solved this problem. I still
Yeah.
have to send it
Yep.
to you to finish, but I I did all right.
Yeah.
I'm getting pleasure from this thing that I'm still in process with because I'm no longer contracting and saying to myself, well, I really suck at this,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
So that
Exactly.
expansion comes and our nervous system then is able to heal. So we're talking about funny little examples, but
Mhm.
apply this all the way.
Oof.
If you were
Yeah.
told all your life, you're stupid, you're stupid, you're stupid, you're stupid, and you
Mhm.
believed it, of course you believed it. What other option did you have when you were little being told that? But now you've come to a place where you're like, I would like to not believe that.
Mhm.
I would
Mhm.
like to heal and I would like my body to, so instead of when you walk into somewhere and you know that you need to say something smart and your body goes like, "I can't," because it doesn't
Yeah.
believe it, right? Maybe you start to expand
You
because you're offering yourself compassion. I believe that I have something to share.
before we even start saying I believe is like take a deep breath first
Yeah.
before even getting into those words, right?
Yeah,
Try to bring
expand.
the nervous system into that more of an expansion state. So for me, I've done, over my career, speeches, training in front of conference rooms or, panels or whatever. Like you get nervous. I know this. Hold on. Like before I step into it, regulate. Like so I do yawning or deep breaths or whatever to first relax it and then work your way.
Tune into your body, take a deep
Mhm.
breath, rub your feet on the floor, ground.
Mhm.
Remember that you're here in your body. And then you
Mhm.
create a little expansiveness. And then you can move into how can I be kind to myself in this moment? Right.
Yeah.
And you're really
Yeah.
creating impeccable words, but in an impeccable environment in your internal
Yeah.
environment with which then to calmly retrieve what it is you're trying to produce. And it's
Yeah.
so interesting because I mean, we won't dive fully into this today, but from an energetic perspective, again, we're talking about the throat chakra.
Yeah.
We're talking
Yeah.
about the bridge between the heart and the mind. And it goes
Mhm.
both ways, right? And the throat chakra is for certain it's what we say, but it's also what we hear. Your throat chakra includes your ears. What we listen to, what we hear, what we speak, and it is this communication from your heart to your mind or from your
Mhm.
mind to your heart. And it's such
Mhm.
an incredible thing to see. It is so clear when a throat chakra is out of balance, when your energy system here is out of balance, you'll have negative self talk. You'll repress the truth. You'll
Mhm.
withhold the truth. You'll have a hard time listening. You'll have a hard time connecting. And when you can clear and open and create expansiveness from the throat chakra, suddenly truth comes easier.
Right.
Suddenly, listening for positivity instead of negativity comes naturally. Things
Yeah.
really open and you're able to be more impeccable with your word.
Mhm. Yeah. And then your biology is all working for you at the same time. Your RAS is searching for you. Like, okay, let me confirm this.
Yeah,
And
your
then
RAS is
your
searching for you and your serotonin is going and your oxytocin is going and
Mhm.
everything works as a system
Right. Exactly.
for your best, for your
Yes.
highest.
Yes. Yes. And this is also like so we have this internal alignment, right? Where we're aligned internally. And so that feels good to us. And that just vibrates forward externally. And then the alignment and what people call, manifestation
Mhm.
starts occurring all around them. And really, I mean, I like to use more of like, oh, I'm in alignment now. I'm in coherent state. I'm in flow because things externally start aligning. People start coming into your lives that bring more energy and power to you.
Yep.
Opportunities start showing up some more, right? Because now I'm in complete congruence and flow and coherence.
Yeah, and the
And
universe will respond in
mm,
kind, right? The
right.
universe responds in kind. I'm in alignment, I'm in flow. The energetic vortex around me is
Hmm.
pulling in what's good, is pulling in what's for my best instead of this
Yeah.
like, disgruntled vortex pushing things away and bringing in what matches that, right?
Right. 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 So
Mhm.
I think, yeah, it's in practice, right? Like if we think about this in the reality of language is something we use every day.
Yep.
Energy as well. I mean, we could talk about people that can't speak, but energetically, we're also feeling something from somebody, right? In how they're communicating and what they're showing us.
we communicate through our bodies. We communicate through
Mhm.
nonverbal communication all the time. I talk a lot with my hands.
Yeah.
Even if you can't hear what I'm saying, let's say, you can see that I'm, or we have sign language, we have all these different ways that people communicate. It's still word.
Right, 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 exactly. Because someone could say to Carly, I really like you. I think that you're a fun person. Or like, "Carly," like, "What did like, really? You think that I actually feel that?" Or like, "Carly, I really love being around you." Like, what is my energy saying, to that? So, like, it's not just your words again, it's everything that comes through with the words and the
Yeah.
energy behind it. I think, like, in practice, right? Like, if we look at this in a daily perspective as we go out to the world and we wake up in the morning, the first thing that we can really work to is observing. First becoming aware, like, what are the words? Listen for the words that we use. I can't, or I'll never be able to do that, or I things always break for me, or they never work out for me. And then becoming aware of that,
That's your mindfulness piece, paying attention to the present moment, becoming aware. It's just different language. Beautiful.
right? Hmm. And then replacing those words, right, with
Mhm.
like, oh no, I'm choosing to this, and like you're saying, I'm learning, and I'm like allowing this, and exploring this new field, or whatnot. These
Yeah.
little micro shifts are what's teaching your brain flexibility instead of being fixated on this one thing, and
Yep.
then you're just going to be looping in the same kind of, it's what you're choosing, and to be comfortable there.
It's the inner ally. It's that inner friend.
Hmm.
It's that inner kind voice, right? We're noticing, we're becoming aware, and then we're shifting it. And we're
Right.
just shifting it to how would you speak to a friend?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
How would I speak to a friend? And then that's going to direct your subconscious toward what it is that you want to feel, your desired state.
Yes.
And then so like first again, becoming aware, then it's like, yeah, anchoring the new words, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So maybe not go as far off as like, oh, I'm already like a millionaire or something like that. You're like, okay, I'm a woman remembering my power. I'm a woman that's
Mm.
allowing and stepping into this. So anchoring these words that you're feeling with the energy. And we do a lot of anchoring in NLP, and we could do anchoring like with the physical touch, right? Like, so when I say a certain word, like, I'm a powerful woman, I could touch my heart. And so every time I touch my heart and I feel the emotion with those words, then I could do an anchor where I touch my heart and I remember, oh, I'm a woman remembering her power.
Yeah, beautiful.
And so I think anchoring the new state is also really important, with the language that we're using, right? Especially the identity level language, like the I am statements. Those,
Mm.
we say them so freely, and we abuse ourselves with those words that we tell ourselves.
So we have these I am
Yeah,
statements, but also intention. Like, how do I want to show up today? And there's a real importance in the intention of how we're going to show up, and we can
yeah.
use our words to kind of set that frequency for the day too. I have just a bit of training in Reiki, but I use the Reiki principles every day for meditation. There are 5
Mm,
principles and I use them every day, and they start with just for today. And
mm,
then each one of them
mm-hmm,
follows from that, just for today. So I'm not telling myself that I can never be angry or worry or that I always have to be
mm-hmm,
grateful. Just for today. I'm just going to set this
mm,
intention today. Just for today.
yeah.
May I
Mhm,
be, I will not be. We just sort of set these moments of frequency
yeah.
with our
Yeah.
language, with our energy. And I love the Reiki version of it because it says just for today.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Giving myself the opportunity today to grow, to set this intention, to follow through.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Exactly.
I use those not even just for like who I am, but how I want to set my system for the day.
Right. And you have those cards available, right? I mean, could we link those for the listeners? Okay.
I do, I do. I made myself little meditation cards with the Reiki principles. If you wanna put your email in, I can send them to you because 'cause I'm so
Yeah.
happy to share them. I made them for myself personally, and then I put them out there for the world because I think they're
Oh,
great.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's definitely something we could link. People could use as reminders on a daily basis. And also, yeah, so anchoring with that and then being able to mirror others also with the language they're using. And Carly, you do this really well. You've said this before where you point out to somebody, hey, don't talk to my friend like that when someone's talking about
Oh,
themselves,
yeah, yeah, I do.
right? Yeah. So, like, so when you speak to someone, reflect their potential rather than the limitations and the limiting beliefs that they're having,
Yeah.
right? Because then you're helping their subconscious rewire too, and you're speaking life into them. So mirroring others with that type of integrity is also, I think, something that we could put into daily practice and catch it
Yeah.
when someone's speaking, or your family members, your kids or something is saying something, and rephrase those words for them, because you're practicing it yourself, and then you're bringing awareness to another person, and then you could change the ecosystem, the environment you're in, by
Mhm.
becoming aware and integrating that with others around you.
Yeah, that's exact with my friends, I say, "Hey, don't talk about my friend like that." With my clients, I might say something like, "Could I offer a gentle reframe?" You know, what's a way that you could say that that's actually kind?
Stop.
So, actually, I feel like there's so many places we could go with
Mm.
this episode. There's so many places we could go with this conversation, and it is so hard to cut it back. But we do really want to honor people's time. We're really, really grateful that people have tuned in and listened. So I want to encourage people to read this chapter and maybe leave us a little note about what you got from it, because there's so, so, so much more. But for us here at Realigned and Unfiltered, we really enjoyed having this conversation today. And we want to remind you that every sentence you speak is a command to your subconscious and an
Yes.
imprint on the field around you. Your throat is communicating from your heart, from your mind. Your ears
Hmm.
are communicating to your heart and to your mind.
Mm.
Keep conscious of this as you go forward in your day, and the impeccability of your word is a concept now that you're remembering without criticism,
Right,
only compassion.
right, right. You're coding your reality through all of this language, internally and externally.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome, Carly. I love that. And so I want to just, close this with saying that if this episode really reminded you and brought you to awareness of the divine power, the beauty of who we are, and then, the language that we speak, don't keep this to yourself. Please share, hit follow, and subscribe so you don't miss another episode of Realigned and Unfiltered. Grab your free mind coding and self compassion worksheets. We have them linked in all our descriptions.
Mhm.
And also, we're going to be linking Carly's Reiki
Yeah.
meditation cards in the show notes. And these tools are free resources for you that are going to help you to be able to track, where your words, where your energy are out of alignment, and
Yeah.
then bring them, realigning and bringing them back into that coherent place. And so I want to say thank you. We love you. We see you. And we're so excited to meet you in the next episode of Realigned and Unfiltered.